morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special draft edition of the Trickle Zone. I am your host, Erick Trickel. It's been 2 days of the NFL draft, and it has been super exciting for Broncos fans. They went and got Patrick Surtain out of Alabama, a big corner that's going to be big helpful, big piece for the future going forward. They then trade up in the second round for a running back of all things of Javonte Williams out of North Carolina. Big fan of his, true 3-down back. Melvin Gordon, you better not be comfortable. Royce Freeman, you definitely better not be comfortable either. Then when it comes to the third round, they trade back from 71 to 76 with the New York Giants. And then they trade down again, sending 76 to the New Orleans Saints for 98 and 105 overall. They ended up selecting a powerful offensive lineman on the interior out of Wisconsin Whitewater. That's going to be a very good depth piece, if not starter, depending on how the competition goes in training camp. And then select a guy who many of us here at Mile High Huddle, especially myself, would have absolutely loved the Broncos to take at 40 overall in Baron Browning, a versatile athletic linebacker out of Ohio State that should help solve their issues covering tight ends, which is much needed in the AFC West. However, there is still a lot left on the board. We're entering day 3. The Broncos, they have a lot of picks left, none in the 4th round, unfortunately. So a lot of these guys I'm going to be talking about, they're probably going to be gone. But who knows? Maybe we see another Baron Browning type of fall from a player that lets the Broncos grab him a lot later than expected. Who knows what's going to happen there? It's going to be fun to see. I hope you guys are going to be joining us live at Mile High Huddle here for day 3 of the draft. It's always a blast. It was a blast last year. But let's get to it. Who's the best guys available? Denver, they passed on a quarterback early in Justin Fields to take Patrick Surtain. There was a run on quarterbacks. Davis Mills was taken. Kyle Trask was taken. Kellen Mond was taken. However, Jamie Newman, he's still there. He's the best quarterback available. And on my board, he's the only one that's really worth taking somewhere day 3. Thought he would go round 3. Maybe he falls round 5. No idea. Who knows? Felipe Franks, KJ Costello, Sam Ellinger, Shane Buechele. I don't think those guys are really worth it for Denver taking a shot at them. At this point, I think it's best for them to stay put. Maybe re-examine Aaron Rodgers down the road. Who knows? Or roll with what they've got. Running back, after taking Javonte Williams, I don't know running backs really in play here, but maybe they decide, hey, we still want to provide even more weapons for Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, whoever happens to be the starter. So let's go add another running back to help give them a running game. The Broncos struggled with that last year. Maybe they're deciding that they want to move on from Melvin Gordon before his contract's up. Who knows? Kenneth Gainwell out of Memphis. He's an excellent receiver out of the backfield. Scat back type, very athletic. Michael Carter, Javonte Williams' teammate out of North Carolina. I mean, he's that type that he's a better version of Philip Lindsay for a better fit in the scheme with his receiving ability, and his blocking ability isn't exactly terrible either. Jamar Jefferson, Kylan Hill, Khalil Herbert, and even Ramondre Stevenson. If they want another big, powerful back between the tackles, Ramondre Stevenson is a great option for them. Then you go to wide receiver. Maybe not be a target for them, but hey, I didn't think they'd be looking at interior offensive line so early, yet they did. So maybe they look at wide receiver early, somewhere round 5. They can potentially use better depth, especially if Deshaun Hamilton's on his way out. Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, they're both on 1-year deals. Who knows what's going to happen there? Amon-Ra St. Brown out of USC. I like what he can do. I like what he brings to this offense. He's a good scheme fit, solid route running, really good body contortionist to go and get tough catches. Tylan Wallace, if they want a guy to go get those deep balls. Marquez Stevenson, a speedster out of Houston. Shai Smith, Seth Williams, Amir Smith-Marset, who would get a lot more love if the play of quarterback was a lot better at Iowa. Daz Newsome, he's another guy that I really like for the Broncos offense. Another guy, go route guy, deep ball guy. Definitely another area they can improve on. Then at tight end, there's been a little bit of Lincoln to him, and actually a lot of Lincoln to him, especially to Tommy Tremble, who was taken by the Carolina Panthers for looking for a wide tight end, a blocking type tight end. Brevin Jordan, he's my top tight end available, but he's not really that guy. He's a Julius Thomas type and really kind of shies away from blocking. John Bates, I like his blocking ability. I like what he can bring. I think there's some upside there as a receiver as well. Quentin Morris, same kind of deal as John Bates, And then Nick Eubanks, skipping over Kenny Yeboah, who's another Julius Thomas type. Nick Eubanks, if you're looking for another tight end blocking guy, he's a potential option. Safety net type receiver. Maybe you can get him late day 3. I'm talking round 6, round 7, maybe even undrafted. Offensive tackles. They haven't gotten a developmental guy at offensive tackle. That's something that needs to change. There's still some good tackles on this board. James Hudson out of Cincinnati. Big guy, physical guy, still learning how to play the position after transferring from the defensive line on over. Stone Forsythe, a guy that really rose up my board late in the process. Physical guy, powerful guy, not the best of athletes, but he can maul guys in the running game. Brendan James, another mauler type out of Nebraska. Dante Smith and Jalen Moore, they're not the best scheme fits. They're more outside zone guys. But Tommy Doyle out of Miami, Ohio, absolutely love him. Ideal developmental option for Mike Munchak that's still on the board. Offensive guard, not going to spend much time talking about them after taking Quinn Miners. Don't think they'll double up on interior offensive line. David Moore, big, powerful guy from Grambling. Deontay Brown, big, powerful guy from Alabama. Trey Smith, big, athletic, powerful guy out of Tennessee who has some medical concerns. Robert Jones, Tommy Kramer. A lot of guys who fit the scheme still, but just guys after Quinn Miners, they don't seem to be good options for them. Then you get to the interior defensive line. Tommy Togiai, great fit for them if they're looking for a future replacement for Mike Brissell. He's a little bit shorter than Vic Fangio likes, though. A little bit limited as a pass rusher. Davion Nixon, there's been some character stuff there. 5 technique if they want better depth. Jay Tefeli, who many had as a top defensive lineman until he opted out. And that's the big concern with him, is he opted out. How much has he grown as a player? His teammate, Marlon Tipiloto, is another guy that's a strong guy, strong run defender, decent upside as a pass rusher. Darius Stills, not the best scheme fit. Cam Sample, not the best scheme fit. Tyler Shelvin, Marvin Wilson, those are guys you're looking at. Nose tackle. Bobby Brown, young guy, young defensive lineman, needs a lot of development. I love him as a developmental piece on this defense with the linemen that they have. Then you have Jordan Smith at edge, Quincy Roche at edge, Ellerson Smith at edge. Those are 3 guys that I really like for the Broncos. They could use a little bit of development, and sitting behind Von Miller for a year could really benefit them. Victor Dimukeje, I think he's better with his hand in his dirt. Hamilcar Rashed, I'm not the biggest fan of personally, especially for what the Broncos run on defense. William Bradley King, very long, very lanky type, needs to bulk up a little bit. A lot of development is needed. And then Jonathan Cooper and Chris Rumpf, 2 guys that I like for Denver later on in this draft, depending on how things fall. I mean, there's a lot of edges left. Off-ball linebacker, hey, Baron Browning, that happened to be the last pick of the draft. Maybe they decided to double up. Jabril Cox, big cover guy, like really good in coverage. Very smart as well. Came into LSU out of North Dakota State, picked up their defense almost instantly. Tony Fields, he's a little bit better sideline to sideline than he is working depth, but there's upside there in coverage. Cam McCrone probably falling due to medicals after a torn ACL. Garrett Wallow, another potential cover guy who's still transitioning from safety to linebacker. Then you have Dylan Moses, who the knees, they're basically shot. I don't think Derek Barnes is a big option for them because Derek Barnes is very similar to Baron Browning, kind of a edge off-ball type player. Nick Neiman out of Iowa, he's a guy I like as well if you're looking at replacing Josie Jewell. Then getting to defensive back, I know they took Patrick Surtain. Maybe they decide that they still want to address the depth. Defensive backs, they've been very big for the Minnesota Vikings, and George Payton, he seems to have brought that to the Denver Broncos, especially after what we saw last year. Trill Williams, great athlete. Sean Wade, if you want to talk about a guy to move off from corner to safety and potentially replace Kareem Jackson, Sean Wade, he has to be at the top of the list there. Keith Taylor, not the best scheme fit. Kerry Vincent, maybe as a potential Bryce Callahan replacement. Brian Mills, not the best scheme fit. Elijah Griffin, depending on how they viewed Devontae Bosby there and what he could bring, Elijah Griffin, very similar there. Shamar Jean-Charles, he's another good fit for them, depending on where they fall. I could definitely see the Broncos looking to add another corner somewhere day 3 in this draft. And then safety, they have to add here. I mean, they have no depth at the position whatsoever. It's Kareem Jackson and Justin Smith. That's it. Ardarius Washington, I love his playmaking ability, but he's not really the style of safety that Vic Fangio likes to have. Then you have Jamar Johnson, and I talked about this while we were live. I think he can work well in the scheme, but he's not exactly the best style fit for Vic Fangio because there's issues tackling. Joshua Bledsoe, I think he's much better in a man scheme than a zone scheme. DeMar Hamlin, I love him. If Denver's going to get a safety, he's one of the guys that I would be pounding the table for. Love his fit in the defense. Drop down, play the nickel. I think he's a great fit to replace Kareem Jackson. And there's a lot of people who have concerns about his tackling. I don't see it. He's not super physical, like he's not going to come downhill to knock people out, but he'll wrap up and drive through tackles and bring people down. James Wiggins, I think he'd probably be off the board already if he didn't have medical concerns. And his teammate Derek Forrest is another really good fit. Both of them are for the Broncos. They work in that cover two at Cincinnati, a very similar defense to what the Broncos currently run. I think it'd be easy for them to pick it up. Caden Stearns and Hamza Nasser-El-Din. I like Caden Stearns for this defense. He's very similar to Derek Forrest, kind of a safe guy. But Hamza Nasser-El-Din, he's more of a box safety. And Vic Fangio, he basically doesn't use that. Now going to best overall, Tommy Togiai. As I mentioned, maybe a potential replacement for Mike Purcell, just a limited upside as a pass rusher. Kenneth Gainwell, I think we kind of cross off running back after taking Javonte Williams and trading up for him. Jabril Cox, again, after taking Baron Browning, I think we can cross off linebacker, maybe round 7, and I don't think Jabril Cox will be there. I'll be very stunned if he is. Trill Williams, again, another corner, very athletic, kind of crossing that off. Davion Nixon, Ardarius Washington, Tony Fields, Brevin Jordan, I think we can cross him off because the issues as a blocker. Ardarius Washington, I think we can block off because he's not the best fit for style. David Moore, we can cross off because I think of Quinn Miners there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jordan Smith, Cameron McGone. Maybe the medicals. Denver's been seemingly avoiding guys with medical questions this year. So I think that Cameron McGone, not a hard cross line through it, but maybe a soft one. Jamar Johnson, I think, like Cameron McGone, maybe a soft line through it because the style fit just isn't there. Michael Carter, same thing as Kenneth Gainwell. Quincy Roche, Tylan Wallace, James Hudson, Jay Tefeli. A lot of guys left. The board has fallen really well for the Broncos so far, and they've done a good job capitalizing it. I'm excited to see what they do day 3. I hope you guys are as well. And as I said earlier, I hope you guys are joining us for day 3 of the draft. We will be live for it. Hope to see you there. Hope you guys are enjoying what the Broncos are doing. And before I sign off of here, thank you for joining me for the Trickle Zone, and the special edition of the Trickle Zone, I might add. And hey, go Broncos.